Welcome back to MD&M West. I am super excited about this next discussion where we talk about AI upon AI. Listen, Matt, we are so glad that you're joining us today. Can you give us a little intro about your company and what you're working on? Can't wait to talk to you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, hi, I am Matt Puchalski. I am co-founder and CEO of Bucket Robotics. At Bucket, we create vision inspection systems for high-volume manufacturing, so injection molding, cast metals, machine parts, all kinds of really fun stuff. Yeah, and usually based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Wow, awesome, awesome, awesome. So listen, Tony, you have a question for Matt.
You know, I think, first of all, I love your logo. I'm a branding geek, and I think that is it is fun, and it also gets the point across. It's awesome. You know, one of the things that I was talking about, and you mentioned plastic injection, and you mentioned parts, and being able to have a vision system with that. That's one of the things that's been very interesting to me in my company that I'd love to talk to you about later, is trying to create, we build laser engraving systems. And so trying to figure out how we can integrate a vision system to be able to locate those parts and do that. I never realized that that was an AI-generated thing.
Very, very much so, yes, and I would love to talk to you about that later. Yeah, so the fun thing about this is if you think about it as a visual inspection problem, that's how a lot of people treat this, right? So before starting Bucket, my co-founder and I were engineers at a bunch of different self-driving car companies, and when you approach it as a data and a perception problem, you get much better results. So we use synthetic data. We build a big simulator to help supplement the vision system in that.
You mean you just didn't send out a robotic car on its own as beta phase?
I have been guilty of doing that, you know, in the past. But you know that doesn't fly in manufacturing, where you have a very finite amount of time to send out parts.
So it went from data collection, and then how do you use AI to drive a vision system?
Yeah, so what's really fun about this is, let's stay with the injection molding case.
Sure.
Right? So in injection molding, you have lots of different surface defects that you may have, and you also have very different criteria depending on who your customer is, whether you have, you know, a Class A surface for an automotive part, or if you have something that you're selling as a toy through Walmart or like on Alibaba. It may be the same component, but your actual end requirements are very different. And how we approach that right now is, I'm going to stand next to you, and you're going to look at it and say, "Ah, okay, you know, is that good enough?
Is there orange peel? Can you see things? Can you see the wave in the steel? What does that look like?"
Exactly. And so, you know, if you it's a loosely tortured metaphor, but you know, from a data perspective, it's the same. The absolute worst nightmare in a self-driving car is Halloween. So Halloween is the worst day for a self-driving car fleet.
Okay, so I'm sorry. Go ahead and answer the question for Ann.
Okay, so yeah, so on Halloween, you have tons of children who are running across the streets. You don't often see that in the world. And by definition, they're not dressed like children. You're not seeing children. You're seeing dinosaurs and princesses and all kinds of really crazy stuff. But self-driving cars operate on on Halloween. We've evolved past that, and the answer is large volumes of synthetic data to try to get you over that hurdle.
Well, Scott kind of posed a couple of really innovative questions about AI and the guy that's not necessarily used to it. Scott, did you want to redirect some of those questions to Matt?
I got a couple of questions. One, it's a bit detailed in the sense of latency. When you start dealing with data latency in an autonomous type of business model, how are you addressing data latency?
Absolutely amazing question, right?
Here.
No, this is great.
Right here.
Well done, Scott.
Yeah.
Can we toast?
Can we toast
Scott for an amazing question?
Data latency.
Honestly, no, latency is something that, you know, freaks us out quite a bit, and it's important whether you're talking about a manufacturing setting or an autonomous vehicle, right? It's the exact same type of thing. You're only as good as the amount of intelligence you can squeeze at the edge. And so that is the way that we handle this is, again, I used to have hair before I started in self-driving, and now I look like this. So, lots of anxiety, but the answer is optimizing your models to deploy on edge very well and doing as much of that data handling as close to where you're producing as
and
possible.
you're looking at an autonomous vehicle. You can't have delays.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You can't.
And what's really fun about that is, so I was the integration nerd. I was the one who was, crawling around the robots and getting sent to really exotic locations and electrocuting myself trying to debug things.
Yeah.
I am very lucky. My co-founder he's the infrastructure wizard of all of this, of how do you actually manage these high volumes of data, both for our end customers so we can deliver something, and as a startup, not go bankrupt, lighting all of your money on fire in cloud costs. Two sides of the same type of problem.
How do you deal with AI? You have large language, you have small language, but the speed at which AI is evolving it's just everybody's talking about it. How do you create guardrails? How do you create standards associated with just AI and ensure that good people are doing good things?
Oh my gosh, this is again something that the self-driving car industry spent so much time thinking about. No, but it's true, right? Yeah. No, honestly,
I don't know.
Scott with the wind.
It's a hard problem, and the answer is you look to where the existing standards are, and you work with your regulators. It's really hard. It's really shitty. It is. If you look at self-driving cars and data that comes from operating in Germany, where GDPR is a concern, right? That's a data labeling issue. California has a very similar regulation, but you go across the border and it's a totally different type of thing. We are in the Wild West, and so having people understand that is the most important thing above all else.
I'm tapped out.
Well, listen, this is the thing. We could talk to you about this all day, every day, but I want to make sure that Ann and Jim get an opportunity to ask you about this because it's been such a hot button topic for all of us. Ann, did you have anything that you wanted to ask them?
Absolutely. Matt, I've got this podcast, right? It's called Workforce 4.0. We're always talking about how people and technology are going to work together in the future. And I'm really more focused on the people side of the industry, naturally. I've got to know, with the implementation and the growing use of AI and all of these language models and everything like that, what are your top takeaways for the future of work? How do people work with AI? Why is AI not taking our jobs?
Truly, again, an awesome question that I really love answering. I'm a very excitable person, I know. Let's look at the surface inspection aspect of manufacturing, going back to my core competency. The types of people who are really amazing visual inspectors who can look at a part and they can stare at it from a mile away, and they don't have to wear glasses, and they're not actually very good at defect detection. They're good at defect classification. They're immediately jumping 3 steps ahead to say, okay, I see this defect on this component. That means that I have a tool head that is wearing out. And so what I need to do is chuck this part in the bin, and then I need to go talk to the rest of the folks in the shop to maintain, service our machines. That level of human understanding is what people are great at. Like, a human mind wrote Shakespeare. The human mind isn't the one who should be staring at their, looking at hot dog, not hot dog. It's that's what gets me excited. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, Jim, if you could ask Matt something, it's just you and him, none of us are here. What are the final thoughts you can give, discussion you can have with Matt before we wrap up our AI discussion?
Awesome. Matt, how do we get manufacturers to change their mind about AI? How do we implement change management to include AI on the shop floor?
That's a good one.
That is oh my God, I love this. This is great. I did not have any prep for any of these. The way that manufacturing needs to adapt to AI is AI needs to do a better job being good partners to manufacturing.
I like that.
Wow.
The amount of times that I hear, Bucket Robotics, how do I know this isn't a boat anchor that I'm going to buy, right? It's hard. It's a gamble. AI, you know, more folks need to go out into machine shops and actually understand what the end customer is, instead of just selling like, hey, we did ChatGPT for dogs, now I want to sell this to you as part of an ERP. People need to talk to people is the way.
I thought I saw that sales pitch upstairs earlier about ChatGPT for dogs now in the ERP system.
There's a lot of people here, and I do really feel bad. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's my yeah.
I love it. Last question, Matt. Is AI going to take jobs?
I certainly hope so. There are so many awful, terrible, miserable, sweaty, gross jobs that need to happen, but careers? No, absolutely not. No,
Awesome.
I
love that. Great.
I think
Thank you,
that's
Matt.
an important distinction, too. Yeah.
Well,
For
listen,
sure.
we could stay here talking about this all day, as you all can see, but we can't do that because we have another riveting interview with one of my favorite interviewers, Tony. Stay tuned. MD&M West 2025.